All right, let's talk some Eagles here. Welcome into Philadelphia Eagles now. And as the Birds are set to kick off against the New York Jets for their final preseason game, it's a great time to open up the floor and take your questions for an Eagles Now mailbag. Really just want to chop it up and talk Eagles football in a very relaxed way and see what the people have to ask me, and I'll try to come up with the best answers as possible. A programming reminder, join us Friday night, preseason finale, Eagles-Jets. We'll once again do an hour pregame show. So our coverage begins an hour before kickoff at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Hope to see all of you there. And with that, let's start taking your questions on the show right now. Dennis Designs, $20 super chat. What is going on with Smile Mondon? Hardly hear a word about him. Look, I thought he played well against Cincinnati in the preseason opener. I think he's going to make this team. You know, he's made some plays throughout training camp, sparingly, but of note, he's gotten some time with the ones, and he's a really good special teamer. So Smile Mondon, he's a part of that linebacker depth for Philadelphia. All right, so Joe Lord, $2 super chat. Mukuba injury, $29 million in cap space. Should the Eagles sign Justin Simmons? Let me take a look at how much cap space the Eagles have. I'm not saying you're lying, Joe, but it just helps me with context here. So per over the cap, yes, the Eagles have $29.3 million in cap space, and that is their cap space and effective cap space. Their active cap spending, $230 million. They have $35 million, no, $77 million in dead money. Hello, James Bradbury.
Yeah.
But it's paling in comparison to the Niners, who have $95 million in dead money on their roster. Joe, with the Justin Simmons question, obviously, you know, it comes down to how long he's going to be out for and what the severity is. We've seen hamstring issues last a few days to a week to, in the case of A.J. Brown, he has now not practiced in 19 days, right? And so if he's out for a little while, do you have confidence in Andre Sam or Tristan McCullum being your safety three behind Reed Blankenship and Sidney Brown? I would have some issues there. So you have the cap space. Justin Simmons played under Vic Fangio. He was an all-pro under Vic Fangio. He has a lot of familiarity with Christian Parker, Eagles DB's coach. You don't worry about him at all in the Eagles locker room. He is a great cultural fit in the Eagles locker room. He understands this defense, and I still think that he can get it done. He's not going to cost all that much money, and it's not like you have to have him start. But in a pinch, if he needs to start, he can start, or he can be a great and viable backup where if an injury does happen to that safety position, you know that Justin Simmons can at the very least be very serviceable. Peter Thurman, a $20 super chat here. How many wide receivers will we keep? There is going to be a roster crunch at the wide receiver position, Peter. We know that A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson, and John Mechie are locks. But how many receivers will the Eagles have beyond that? And will they hold on to 5, 6, or 7 wide receivers? It's definitely going to be 5, most likely 6. Could it be 7? That would be unheard of. And so I think Darius Cooper is going to make this team. I think he's been the third best wide receiver for the Eagles throughout camp. But you trade for John Mechie, he has to make the team. Jahan Dotson, he's going to make the ball club. You made that trade for him last offseason. Unless you trade Jahan Dotson away, and then everybody kind of elevates up, where Darius Cooper is your wide receiver 3, John Mechie probably your wide receiver 4, and then you have Anaya Smith and Johnny Wilson as your wide receiver 5 and 6. Now, Johnny Wilson, during that Tuesday practice, got hurt, knee and ankle injury. He got carted off. Could the Eagles be playing some roster gymnastics there? Find a way to put him on IR, short term, or on PUP to start the year. And then he's not occupying a spot on the 53. We could very well see that. I think Terrace Marshall, Elijah Cooks, Dunzo, not going to make the 53. I don't even have him on the roster bubble. Tanner Plummer, Darius Cooper has obviously been the training camp darling. However, will Kevin Patullo get him the ball with so many mouths to feed in the passing game? That's been an issue for the Eagles at wide receiver 3 since Nick Sirianni has come here. But look, I don't think it's for a lack of talent always or a lack of emphasis. It's just that Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown are so good. You know, A.J. Brown has been an all-pro every year that he's been with the Eagles. Devontae Smith has been probably the best wide receiver 2 in all of football. I look at him as a 1B to A.J. Brown being the 1A. And you want your passing game going through those two wideouts. But you also have Dallas Goedert, who's a top 10 tight end, who your offense is better when you get him the rock. You also have been a great running attack, not just with Saquon Barkley. Miles Sanders had a career year in 2022. DeAndre Swift had a career year in 2023. Saquon Barkley won Offensive Player of the Year in 2024. Jalen Hurts, also a weapon to run. And so wide receiver 3 is almost like the 5th option on this Eagles offense. But if Darius Cooper is that good, find ways to get him the ball because he can make plays. And if an injury happens, you have confidence that he can elevate up the depth chart. Joseph Krager, are you at the point where if you're Howie Roseman, you start making trade requests for anyone on another team? And if so, who would you be looking at going after? So, look, you can't rule out Howie with making these trades. I mean, already in the month of August, he has traded for Jacorian Bennett and he's traded for John Mechie. That made your cornerback room deeper and better. And at wide receiver, bringing in Mechie, it made your wide receiver room better and deeper. In years past, we've seen Howie wheel and deal just in the month of August. Last year, traded for Jahan Dotson. In 2022, traded for C.J. Gardner-Johnson. In 2021, traded for Gardner Minshew. That's not all of the trades that he's made in recent memory, by the way, just in the month of August. And so if Howie Roseman has a concern at a position, has a concern with his team, or if there is a good player available, he is always going to try to extract the most value possible in trying to trade for a player. Philadelphia has also acquired, I think, 7 of the top 51 picks from the 2022 NFL Draft now. They have acquired a bevy of players selected in the first 3 rounds of the last several years because he's always trying to accumulate the best players possible to put together the best team. So if there's a player out there who is available, Howie is going to fish. Howie is going to do his due diligence in looking at a player to acquire. As for players the Eagles could trade away, they could trade away a corner, Keely Ringo or Adoree Jackson. Eli Ricks, throw him into the mix. If you think that Jacorian Bennett can start for your team, if you like Mac McWilliams on the outside, if you like Brandon Johnson on the inside, I think that's running a risk because you would dent some of the depth that you have at corner, but it's certainly possible. Now that you're so deep at wide receiver, do you trade away a Jahan Dotson? Do you trade away an Anais Smith or a Johnny Wilson if he's healthy? That's also a possibility. You are pretty deep along the offensive line, in my opinion, although some of the depth pieces along the offensive line have struggled a little bit. But that, too, is an avenue that Howie could explore. Joseph, great one right there. So which game are you getting ready to go to? I am saving up. We should start planning now. So Dennis Designs, as you know, because you're always a real one tuned into the show, I'm always live for watch parties, man. So I'm not getting ready to go to an Eagles game this year because I'll be live in the studio for all of them. It is one thing that I certainly miss, but at the same time, when you're doing 100,000 views for every regular season game, and then you're doing 1 million views for the Super Bowl, it's all worth it. Plus, we have a lot of fun. I think what we do here is special and unique, and we're able to be the place for Eagles fans to watch games if they can't go to games, and it is the go-to fan destination on YouTube. Nobody comes close to our watch party numbers. And so I'll be live for every single Eagles game here in the studio. Which game should you go to? Man, the home schedule, it is loaded. I know you're a Florida guy. Eagles are going to play the Bucs again. That could be a good one. But this home slate, it is stacked with a bunch of marquee games. I'll tell you this, though. If the Eagles win the Super Bowl again, Chip and I will be back in Philly for the parade like we were back in February. If the Eagles make it to the Super Bowl, just like I have been the last 3 years, we'll be on site for our Super Bowl coverage. Chip and I were in New Orleans last year. I was in Arizona in 2022. This year it's out in Santa Clara outside of San Francisco, so we'll be there. We'll be at the NFL Combine. We're running a business here. And I'm one of the leaders here at the company, helping to grow this company and build it. And so I'll be live for all these Eagles games. But Dennis, if you go to a game, send us some photos, and we'll show them here on the show. As far as our YouTube top fans leaderboard, Peter Thurman at number 2 behind Dennis Designs. Dennis, he's getting shadow banned by YouTube. He's still not showing up. And then Michael coming in at number 3, followed by Joe Lord there at number 4. Great questions as part of our mailbag. Thanks to everybody for tuning into the mailbag. And that's why you subscribe. Obviously, we're going to hit you with news, reactions, opinions, breaking news. We do live shows. We do watch parties. But I also love chopping it up, opening up the floor, and taking all of your questions for our mailbag. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button.